The signal no one answered Frozine was a peaceful planet. Its skies were silver blue, its oceans were still. The people lived in quiet cities, growing food, teaching children, watching the stars. They had no army, no weapons, and no reason to prepare for war until war found them. It began with a shadow. Dark ships appeared above the mountains. No warning, no flags, just engines humming like thunder. The raiders came fast. They dropped from the sky like insects, cloaked, armed, and merciless. They destroyed the communication towers first, then the power grid, then the air shields. In 3 hours, Tavrosnine went from paradise to battlefield governor. Lena stood in the ruins of the capital tower. Her face was covered in ash. Behind her, wounded citizens lay across broken streets. Children cried. Buildings burned. She held the last working transmitter in her hands. Her voice shook as she spoke to anyone who hears this. We are under attack. They have taken our homes. They are killing our people. Please, help us. Tavrosnine is falling. The message went out into space. One signal, one hope. The Galactic Council received it first. Dozens of systems heard the call, but no one moved. One ambassador said, "It's too far from our borders." Another said, "We can't risk our ships for a farming colony." A third whispered, "The raiders are too strong. It's not worth the loss." And so the council said nothing. They let the signal fade. But on Earth, deep inside a black facility known only as the Wound, the signal reached a locked room. Inside were 7 soldiers. They weren't generals. They weren't diplomats. They were known as Unit 7 Fury, the only group Earth ever called when a problem wasn't meant to be solved, but ended. Each of them had a reason to be there. Each of them had lost something, and each of them carried the kind of rage that didn't burn hot. It burned cold. Grudge stood first. He was tall, quiet, with a long scar down his neck. His fists were always clenched. He listened to the signal once, then looked at the others. "Same raiders," he said. No one replied. They already knew. These were the same invaders that had wiped out Earth's colony years ago. A science world with no weapons and no rescue. That colony had sent a call for help to Dot, and no one came except them. The mission didn't go to Earth's leaders. It went straight to Unit 7 Fury, and they accepted it without a word. Their ship, Ironhowl, launched within the hour. No escort, no backup, just 7 angry humans flying into fire. As Tavrosnine burned, the last defenders fell back into underground tunnels. Governor Lena stood at the edge of a cracked bridge, holding her daughter close. The sky roared again, but this time it was different. A new ship entered the atmosphere, dark grey, heavy, silent. It didn't glow, it didn't signal, it just landed. With a slow, thunderous crash, 7 figures stepped out. No emblems, no greetings, no fear, just metal armor, dark eyes, and fury so quiet it hurt to look at Dot. A Tavros medic whispered, "Who are they?" Lena didn't know, but her daughter pointed at the lead soldier, Grudge, as he looked across the ruins with dead calm eyes. "They're not here to talk," she said. "They're here to end it." The raiders spotted the newcomers. They laughed. "Just 7. They sent 20 soldiers to intercept. Grudge raised his left hand, did not speak. His team moved. The first raider was down. Before he could lift his weapon, the second one burned. The third one ran, but Widow was faster. Her blade left no second chance. In 37 seconds, The entire enemy squad was gone. Not beaten, gone. The citizens watched in silence. Tavros-9 had cried for help. No one had answered. Until now. And what arrived wasn't help. It was vengeance. Arrival. And fire smoke filled the sky of Tavros-9. The raiders were celebrating. They had taken the capital, shut down the defenses, and enslaved the remaining survivors. Their leader, a creature named Verkith, stood above a burning temple and laughed as he watched civilians kneel in fear. But then the fire changed. It wasn't orange, it was white, pure. Hotter. 4. Single quotes. Cater turned his head just as a beam of energy blasted down from orbit. It didn't destroy buildings. It carved a clean path straight through the center of the enemy camp. Then, silence. From the dust, they came. 7 humans in dark armor, not polished, not shiny, worn battle-scarred. Each of them walked with purpose, no hurry, no fear, no sound. Behind them, the dust settled into stillness. The lead soldier, Grudge, didn't carry a flag. He didn't carry mercy either. He only carried rage. Raiders scrambled to respond. 2 assault drones flew forward. Grudge raised his left gauntlet. A pulse of magnetic energy shot out, and the drones dropped like stones. Red, the demolition expert, tossed a charge toward a tower where snipers were hiding. No countdown, just flash, flame, silence. Nearby, a young Tavros boy, hiding in the rubble, peeked out and saw the humans move. Not like soldiers, not like machines, like something between. He whispered to his sister, "They're like fire, but they think." The girl nodded. They remember what was done. Crash charged through a wave of raiders with a shield unit built from earth mining tech. It wasn't made for battle, but it was made to break rocks. The same applied to Bones. He didn't swing it, he drove it. One raider captain tried to send a warning to his fleet. Widow found him. She didn't speak, she didn't blink. She ended him. With one move, blade to chest, lift, gone. Up in the air. Verkith watched in shock. He had fought 100 battles. He had crushed peaceful planets before, but this was different. This wasn't resistance. This was judgment. Ghost, the recon specialist, appeared behind a patrol without a sound. His armor blended into the smoke, the shadows, even the fire. His gun made no noise, only the fall of bodies. Grudge walked slowly into the center of the battlefield. Raider forces surrounded him. He let them. He didn't speak. Not until one of them shouted, "What are you?" Grudge raised his visor just enough to show his scarred face. "I'm what happens when you make humans remember pain." Then he charged, and no one stood long enough to regret it. The people of Tavros-9 watched from the rooftops, from the tunnels, from behind walls, and for the first time since the attack began, they felt something returned. Not hope, not safety, but justice. The governor looked to the sky, where the Earth's ship hovered like a ghost. She had heard the stories. She thought they were myths, but now she knew. Earth doesn't send diplomats when it's angry, she whispered. It sends them. At the far edge of the city, the raiders tried to escape. They failed. Steel, the heaviest unit in 7 Fury, landed in front of them like a wall of metal. His hands were fire. His steps were thunder. The escape route became a tomb that night. The fires burned lower, not because they had been put out, because the things feeding them were gone. Unit 7 Fury gathered at the center of the city. No words, just presence. One child stepped forward, shaking. She looked up at Grudge. Are you heroes? He looked down and finally spoke. No. He turned away. We're what you call when heroes aren't enough. The path of rage, the battlefield, was quiet, not because peace had returned, but because nothing moved anymore. The streets of Tavros 9 were littered with the remains of raider tech, broken armor, and silence that had weight. Unit 7 Fury stood in the middle of it all. No victory pose, no pride, just unfinished anger inside a ruined building. Grudge sat alone. He stared at a small metal tag, the only thing left from Earth's fallen science colony years ago. It was bent, blackened from fire. The name engraved on it was his sister's. He didn't cry. He had already done that long ago now. He burned inside in silence. In the next room, Red was building something from raider junk. Explosives, wires, steel shrapnel. Voss, the Tavros engineer, peeked in. What are you making? Red didn't look up. Justice. Widow cleaned her blade without emotion. Ghost stood by a window, scanning the city edge. No one talked much. They didn't need to. Their rage was a language older than war. Grudge finally stood. They're not done, he said. He pointed to the mountains. The last signal came from there, the raiders' forward command, a place marked in their files as the core. As the unit prepared to move, Governor Lena approached. You've already saved us. You don't need to go after them. Grudge looked at her. His voice was low, controlled. We don't chase them because we have to. We chase them because they're not afraid yet. Flashback, 10 years ago. Earth Colony 18, peaceful research base. Grudge was a security tech. His sister, a scientist. They had no weapons, no defenses, just learning. Then the raiders came. No warning, no mercy. They left no one alive, except Grudge. The fire took half his voice and all his hope, but Earth gave him something back. Unit 7 Fury, back in the present. The team crossed the burning plains outside the city. Raider traps fired energy blasts and auto turrets screamed, but they were no match. Crash used his shield like a bulldozer. Steel tore open bunker doors with his bare hands. Ghost went ahead, invisible, ruthless. Widow stayed in the shadows, ending threats before they even saw her. They didn't move like an army. They moved like judgment. Inside the core, Raider Commander Verkith watched through a flickering screen. He had seen many species fight, but never like this. What are these humans? He hissed. An advisor trembled. They're not soldiers, they single quotes, survivors. Verkith shouted, then why do they keep coming? A deep voice responded, not from the room, from the comms. It was Grudge, because you left something unfinished. And now, we finish you. The raiders panicked, tried to retreat. Too late. 7 Fury entered like shadows through metal, one by one. Each floor fell. The core began to collapse, not from bombs, but from fear. Verkith tried to flee through a tunnel. He never reached it. Grudge was already waiting. They didn't fight. They didn't speak. Grudge simply raised his hand and showed the burned metal tag. Verkith paused. What is that? Grudge stepped forward. The last thing she was holding. Verkith reached for a weapon. He didn't finish the move. Not this time, back on Tavros 9. The people looked to the mountain. A low rumble echoed across the sky. No. Explosion, just collapse. Then silence again, but this silence felt cleaner, like something had been removed. The child from before looked up. Are they coming back? Lena looked down at her. They only come when the fire calls them. And today, the fire was answered by humans who were done being quiet. By those who carried memory, not in books, but in their bones. Asterisk rage thinks to the core was gone, burned from the inside, sealed by collapsing tunnels and scorched earth. But not everyone inside had died. Far beneath the rubble, a new signal escaped, bouncing off satellites, warping through old channels, calling for reinforcements. Some raiders had planned for this. They never expected to win on the ground. They expected to trap the humans above Tavrosnine. 2 massive enemy carriers dropped from orbit, dark, silent, unmarked, inside. Them prototype war machines, biomech drones, designed to think faster, adapt instantly, and fight with zero emotion. Pure AI, no heart, no hesitation. They didn't speak. They didn't fear. They didn't feel. Just calculated execution. The first drones landed in the northern fields. Villagers screamed and ran as the machines scanned, targeted, and moved with precision. But they weren't alone for long. Widow was already there. She didn't run at them. She'll let them come. The first drone calculated 3 options. It chose to fire a high-velocity plasma bolt. Widow dodged, not randomly. She moved where the wind curved. Where the machine's angle was weakest, she struck, not hard, just right. Right where its shoulder meets memory storage. The drone paused. Confused, it had never lost memory mid-battle. By the time it rebooted, her blade was already in its throat, if it had one. Meanwhile, Red and Crash faced a unit of 20 drones near the comms tower. Crash smirked. They think they're smart. Red grinned back. Good. Let's show them what humans do with smart things. He didn't use bombs. He used temptation. Left power cells where the drones would detect energy, fake distress signals, decoy humans, lures. The drones swarmed the fake heat signatures and ran straight into Crash's trap field. 1 button, instant microwave, surge, drones fell, silent, still defeated by anger shaped like strategy. Inside the command center, Grudge studied the enemy's formation from hacked satellite feeds. Steel stood nearby, repairing his gauntlet. They think because we're angry, we're stupid. Grudge didn't look up. That's why they'll die tired. He pointed at a specific ridge. They're flanking. They don't know we already knew. Steel loaded his arm cannon. Then, let's teach them what focused rage really means. Ghost had already infiltrated the second enemy ship alone. The AI on board didn't even know he was there. It had scanned for body heat, sound, movement. Ghost left. None. He didn't enter to destroy. He entered to rewrite. He uploaded false data to the drone hive mind. Humans are retreating. City is abandoned. Victory confirmed. The machines shifted direction. They walked into the open. And that's when the sky opened. 2 Ironhowl fired down a kinetic strike from orbit. No fire, no noise, just a 12-ton steel rod falling at Mach 10. From space, right into the center of the Pride. Back in the streets, a young Tavros technician stared at the battle unfolding on her screen. They're fighting like machines, she whispered. The elder next to her shook his head. No. Machines copy patterns. These humans. They build traps with anger, but they're so cold. The elder smiled sadly. That's not coldness. That's the heat they chose not to waste. The last wave of drones tried to fly. They didn't make it far. Steel launched a gravity pulse round straight into their path. Their metal twisted, wings bent mid-air. They fell like stars crashing back to Earth when the final drone sparked its last. Grudge walked through the wreckage. No one cheered. No one clapped. That's not what this was for. He looked down at a drone's twitching arm. It was trying to speak, to learn. Grudge leaned close. Lesson 1, he said. Never think fury is dumb. It remembers better than anything. Then he crushed the core. The Tavros skies were finally clear, but they would never forget what they saw. Humans didn't fight with chaos. They fought with pain turned into purpose, and that was deadlier than any weapon. The core of Tavros 9 was still breathing, but deep underground. Something else was awakening. Grudge stood at the edge of an ancient cavern, newly uncovered beneath the planet's crust. What he saw below wasn't made by the raiders. It was older, far older. Strange metal walls pulsed with faint blue veins, almost like they were alive. Ghosts stood beside him. This wasn't in any map. Not even the locals knew it was here. Grudge nodded, because they weren't supposed to. Down. Below, the team stepped onto black stone. Their boots echoed like whispers in a crypt. Widow scanned the walls. Her visor flickered. This place, it's not just tech. It's memory. Red stepped forward, eyeing strange pillars covered in glowing alien text. Why would raiders want this? Steele answered from the rear, voice heavy. Because it's not what it is now. It's what it was. Voss, the Tavros engineer, arrived behind them. His voice shook. My ancestors spoke of forbidden places, hidden during the first collapse. We thought they were legends. He pointed. At the center of the chamber, a large, circular structure rising from the ground like a heart made of light and shadow. That's a neural core. It's alive, storing every memory from the original settlers, culture, language, soul. Crash frowned. So what happens if it's destroyed? Voss looked at him. Tavros dies. Not the planet, the people, who they are, who they were. Gone. Ghost raised a hand. We have a problem. He pointed at a distant tunnel frame. Metal, cables, glowing lights. The raiders didn't come to steal resources. They're building a translink gate, a wormhole relay. Widow's eyes narrowed. Destination? Ghost zoomed in on his visor. One word appeared. Earth. Everything. Clicked into place. Grudge looked down at the core. The enemy wanted to link Tavros to Earth, not to invade, but to infect. They want to use Tavros as a memory bomb. Red whispered, what? Grudge's voice was flat. They erase Tavros from itself, then push that emptiness into Earth through the link. If it works, we won't even know who we were. Steele clenched his fists. This isn't just war anymore. This is erasure. Voss sank to his knees. We can't let this happen, but we can't destroy the core either. It holds our past. Crash looked at Grudge. So what now? Fight. Pull back. Try diplomacy. Grudge was quiet, then spoke just 2 words. We burn it. The room fell. Silent. Even the core seemed to pulse slower. Voss stared in disbelief. You'll kill what makes Tavros. Grudge didn't blink. Or we lose everything. Yours, ours, all of it. He turned to Red and Widow. Prepare overload charges. Steele, guard the outer wall. Ghost, block the wormhole gate. Crash. Crash raised an eyebrow. What, you want me to carry Voss? Grudge nodded. Carry him. He's the future now. The team moved fast, precise, angry, not wild, Controlled rage, sharpened into action. They placed charges, synced systems, and for a moment, everything was still. The core glowed, like it knew what was coming. Grudge touched it once, softly. "I'm sorry," then walked away. As they left the cavern, the wormhole gate roared to life. The raiders' final reinforcement pushed through, a twisted fusion of machine and thought. Grown from erased knowledge, it didn't speak, it dripped. Silence. But Widow was faster. She leaped from the shadows and drove, her blade through its memory drive. Ghost dropped a viral spike into the relay system. Red lit the charge. Grudge looked back. One last time, then pressed the trigger. The cavern collapsed. The core exploded not with heat, but with light, pure white, and filled with forgotten voices. It was not a death. It was a choice. Tavros would survive, but it would have to begin again later. As the dust settled, Grudge stood by the cliffside. Voss came to his side. He looked broken, empty. Grudge handed him something small, a data chip. "You saved one piece." Voss whispered. Grudge nodded. "No, you did. You mattered enough to fight for. Now build again." Voss looked at him. "What about you?" Grudge turned to the sky. "We're not done yet." What came was fury. The sky above Tavros was no longer burning. It was still. No radar signals, no drone pings, no wormholes, just silence. The kind that comes after a storm that leaves nothing standing at the edge of the crater where the core once glowed. Voss stood with a group of survivors. They had nothing left but each other, and the memory of what they'd seen. He turned to the young girl beside him. She whispered, "Are they gone?" Voss looked toward the stars. "No, they're not gone. They're just walking away, because they finished what they came to do." Up above, Ironhowl left orbit. Inside, Unit 7 Fury sat in silence. No cheers, no medals, no speeches. They didn't come for glory. They came because someone called for help. And because someone needed to remember what happens when you ignore what was taken from Earth. The transmission went out later that day. Short. Direct. From Earth to the Galactic Council. Tavros secured. Threat neutralized. Memory weapon blocked. Cause sacrificed to preserve planetary future. Unit 7 Fury returned. No casualties. Final report. Do not summon Earth again unless you're prepared for what answers. There was no reply, because what could you say? Across the galaxy, planets listened to the reports. Leaders sat in quiet rooms, watching footage of Unit 7 Fury in action. One council ambassador whispered, "We asked for help, we got something else." Another responded, "You didn't get help. You got humanity with its gloves off." In a blacked-out room deep inside the Galactic Archive, a Terran historian uploaded a new entry. 7 Fury Deployment Number 6, Tavros Reckoning. He tagged it with one word, answered. But below that, he wrote another, erased with honor. Because what Earth erased wasn't life. It was the thing that tried to erase identity. And humans never forgot what it felt like to be forgotten. Somewhere, in a dark system, light years away, another signal was being prepared by a different species, weak, outnumbered, terrified. Their leaders hesitated. One asked, "Should we call Earth?" The room fell quiet. Then another answered, voice cold with fear, "Only if we're ready to bury the world with our past." They didn't send the signal. They simply turned the power off back on Earth, in a quiet training ground near the North Shield. Ranger's Grudge stood alone. Watching the horizon, ashes blew across the dirt. He reached into his armor and pulled out the small, bent tag again. Still burned, still his. Steel walked up beside him. Tavros is safe. They're rebuilding already. Grudge nodded. Good. Let them remember. Steel looked out at the wind. You think they'll ever call us again? Grudge's reply was quiet. Not if they listened. Somewhere in a dusty outpost on Tavros 9, a child painted on a wall. It was a picture of 7 humans. No names, no faces, just shadows standing between 2 burning cities. Above them, in her own handwriting, she wrote, "What came wasn't peace. What came was fury."